practices that have that Copilot deep integration and our worker combined allowed for the claims to be paid 40% faster than if they didn't have that. One of the things about disruptive technologies is you have to understand there is a tipping point, and before you hit that point, the technology actually isn't good enough to replace a process. And in the case of insurance verification, I don't think as an industry we have arrived where there are technologies that can wholesale replace the process to the point where we're getting better accuracy than humans. It seems like every week I have a call with someone that's an AI service provider, and it's the same story. Like their spouse is a dentist. They go to the dental office and like, oh, gee whiz, wouldn't this be so much easier if we could automate this with AI? And there's a lot of companies like that. And why they're talking to us is they realize the AI isn't good enough. They need a human in the loop, and they're wondering if we could partner.
AI isn't just changing dentistry, it's completely redefining it. Tune into Bite-Sized Podcast, the Dental AI and Tech Podcast, and stay ahead of the curve.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Bite-Sized Podcast. I have brought on a very special guest, Jason Orgill, the CTO of eAssist. What up, Jason? How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, Adrian. Thanks for having me.
I love your background. You look like you're in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
I'm loving it. A little bit warmer than where I'm at in Idaho. So yeah.
What part of Idaho?
Idaho Falls.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. Idaho. That's what we always used to say in high school. Idaho. Anyway, I brought Jason on because, I've been familiar with eAssist. We've actually kind of collaborated on some stuff in the past at eAssist, my company, my social practice, eAssist. And you guys are like right at the forefront of insurance verification, which is kind of like a big deal in dentistry, especially this kind of inflection of AI and how the process works. And there's all sorts of tools and software showing up. And so I brought you on because I don't know a lot about insurance verification and the inner workings of how everything works. So the goal today is to pick your brain on all of the behind the scenes kind of stuff in terms of insurance verification and how technology, tech software, AI is kind of influencing how you guys do your kind of manage your processes internally and kind of what's coming down the pipe, so to speak. But before we jump into that, I want you to give us a quick 3-minute download on where you came from, and not before this world, but like where you came from before you were working at eAssist.
Yeah,
this is not a theology or philosophy class, okay? So
that sounds good. We'll save that for the next podcast, right?
We'll start a new podcast. It'll be dental religion.
That's right.
Jump in. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so I've been with eAssist 5.5 years now as their chief technology officer.
Okay.
And kind of working backwards, I was involved in several startups before that time in the cybersecurity space, some in wireless technology space. And before that, I was a senior fellow at Clayton Christensen's Forum for Growth and Innovation, which was really like where I got to do the dream of merging business concepts with technology and strategy. I really found that's laid the groundwork for the rest of my career after that point. And I kind of started before that with an MBA and an electrical engineering degree and so forth. And at one point I was a certified ethical hacker. So you might have.
Oh, that's freaking awesome. We love hackers. Did you do any bad things, Jason?
No, they told me, day one, you're not allowed to hack without a contract. So it's
okay. All
right hat all the way. We had,
but you can't become a hacker, an ethical hacker, unless you're a hacker first, right?
Well, you're probably right. I will say, even with the contract thing, there was one time where we were able to, I think this was in Arizona, where we had rented a convertible and we had the top down and we were in the back with the laptops to try to hack into the wireless network. And so that was a fun time.
Oh, that sounds cool. That sounds really cool.
Yeah. But right now, really what that just helps me do is try to figure out, well, how can we help keep our customers' data safer? Because how are the hackers thinking about trying to get in? And what are the things we need to really be worried about? And so it kind of does play into my current role today, even though I kind of hung up the hacking cleats.
Well, hackers are kind of cool people. So, I never got to hang with any of the hackers in school because they were nerds, you know. But now they're like, they run companies and they are billionaires. So, anyway, well, that's cool. The ethical hacker. I like that. I like that a lot. That's cool. All right. Before we jump into kind of like talking about how you guys handle insurance verification, one of the things that I just didn't understand is the process that happens between a practice submitting a claim to an insurance company and all of the like steps they have to go through, right? They have to submit the claim. Oh, I just know they submit a claim and then they get a response. But there's like steps in between that are kind of behind the scenes. Can you kind of break that down really quick? Like who's involved, clearinghouses, all that kind of stuff. Like what does it look like?
Yeah. Well, what'll happen, if you're a patient sitting in the chair, you're getting work done, someone will, whether it's the provider or an assistant, will be able to have your file up on the screen, and there'll be procedure codes that they'll select from and say, this is what we did for Jason today. And then they may or may not add everything in at that point. Where our team typically comes in is after the claim is opened and created and there's things there, we'll go in, we'll clean it up, add whatever needs to be added to make sure that it sails through. And what happens after the point that a claim is sent, and that could be sent electronically, or you can put it in an envelope and send it
Yeah.
to the right carrier.
Does anybody still do that?
There are some people that do that, although that generally happens maybe later in the process. If there's been a denial, there needs to be an appeal and things like that. It's actually done more frequently so if you submit it electronically, there's an intermediary that's called a clearinghouse, and they have connections that are electronic that were kind of developed with this standard back in the 80s, back in the dial-up days, that is designed to handle this information in a standard that's created to send this information from the practice through the clearinghouse and then the land and insurance carriers database. Some of those carriers don't have that technology. And so when the claim gets to the clearinghouse, they'll say, oh, shoot, it's going to a carrier that doesn't have this. We're going to have to drop it to paper. And they have a process where they're licking envelopes and sending those things out. So one way or the other, the claim does get to the carrier, hopefully digitally. Most of them are, some of them are not. And then the carrier receives it. And then there's actually, for most of your preventative maintenance claims and things like that, most carriers will just let that cruise through. It's automatically adjudicated, is what they call it, or judged that it's good. And then there will be a process in place where they will kick out a payment, either a paper check or an electronic funds transfer, and then they'll also have the explanation of benefits. You're probably used to seeing those.
Does that go back through the clearinghouse again to you?
Yeah,
or does it go straight back to you?
Yeah, it goes through the postal system, and the dental office will get this stack of papers in the mail with the explanation of benefits that were provided by a certain carrier for a certain number of patients, all on the same thing for the most recent period. And then they'll take that explanation of benefits, and they'll say, okay, well, looks like for all these patients, we got a $3,000 check. Let's go check over in the bank. Okay, yeah, looks like we got a $3,000 check from that carrier. Let's open up our practice management software. Okay, looks like Jason's claim got paid this, $85. Looks like Susie's claim got this, and it'll key it all in. That's called posting the payment. And at that point, the journey of the claim is done.
Is the clearinghouse mostly just to is it like a payment processing? Is it basically a bridge for the processing of payments, or are they actually, you mentioned that they're actually cleaning up the data that's originally sent to them in the claim? They're like formulating it in a way, like, are they were they changing the data? Or are they just making sure that the numbers match and that there's enough money in the bank? And like, are they doing two things or one? Or
they're really just providing the connection. I'll say with a caveat, many of the clearinghouse networks also have software that lives on the dental office computer. And some of these softwares, when someone sends a claim from their practice management software, that'll get sent to the clearinghouse software, which then will run through a series of checks that say, hey, you forgot the last name. This isn't going to fly. And that will be an opportunity for the office staff or our staff or whoever's doing the
Fix it.
claim
Yeah.
to fix it at that point. But there's no kind of behind the scenes fixing as far as I know on an automated basis at the clearinghouse phase. That's more of a
I don't
mechanical.
understand why they're involved. I got to be honest with you. Like, why can't you just send something directly from the practice management system to the insurance carrier and them say, "Ah, you forgot the last name"?
So you certainly can have a direct relationship as a provider with the carrier, and that relationship exists. You're actually credentialed as a provider, and you have a relationship with them. In terms of how the claim flows, though, there's a practical reason why these clearinghouses exist, and that is because you have 50 or so practice management softwares. You have hundreds of dental carriers,
Right.
and to have an intermediary in the middle, it allows you to connect many to kind of one, and then from that one to many instead of many to many, creating this big web of connections. There's also financial reasons that exists in the value chain where the insurance carrier will pay these clearinghouse aggregators money to send them these claims electronically, and then that aggregator turns around and pays the practice management systems a bit of a rebate as well to say, hey, send us your stuff and we'll give you a rebate. And that's another reason as well that the system exists as it does today.
That sounds like a lot of big money being exchanged for no reason, though. I don't know. I don't get it.
There are many on a crusade to try to eliminate waste in the system overall, but just
Yeah.
because of where the entities are in the chain, it makes it difficult to optimize.
Well, okay. So, I mean, we could probably dig into that much deeper, but we don't have 5 hours for this podcast. So let's just leave it at there's insurance carriers, there's API integrations, there's software, there's a clearinghouse, there's transactional, there's probably a credit card company involved in there somewhere, and then you've got the insurance carriers, and everybody's trying to work together to make sure things get done right.
Yeah.
So when it comes to technology, one of the reasons why I reached out to you is because I've been seeing online insurance verification fully automated by AI. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Because all I hear about from dental teams is like, if I could just get my insurance verification process automated, I could move that employee that's sitting on the phone all day waiting around, right? That I'm paying, 20, 30 bucks an hour to just sit there and wait on the phone. I could eliminate that job and give them a new job that's more valuable, right? So this AI insurance verification thing is kind of like super sexy. So that's why I called you. I'm like, oh, dude, these guys got to know what's going on. So I want you to talk about that, but I want you to talk about it in the development of the softwares and the complexity and the automation. And we kind of talked before we jumped on this about developing software that might have some AI application to it. And as complexity goes up, automation kind of goes down, or you can only automate so much. And so I'm really trying to just figure out like really what's happening behind the scenes in the development of technology, leveraging AI in this whole idea of trying to make that insurance verification process just smooth as silk, because apparently it's a pain in the ass for most people,
Yeah.
i.e. why you're in business.
Yeah, that's right. So I think it is first important to recognize that pain a little bit and why it exists, because there is a tension, like you said. Offices do want to save money. And beyond that, they want to make sure their people are focusing on the patient experience. And so if there is an opportunity to free up someone from doing something, then for those two reasons alone, most offices are interested in looking into that. Is there a new technology that can replace this person in that role so that they can focus on the patient, or that we
Right.
don't need to have a whole team doing this or that? So that's one side of the rope. But the other side is, especially with insurance verification, there's a higher cost than just the individual punching in a clock. If you get it wrong and a person discovers later that the treatment plan that you gave them was off, by several $100s because something went wrong in the initial insurance verification, they're not a very happy patient. And you don't want to have a
Oh
unhappy patient.
yeah, it just feels like they feel like they're taken.
Yeah, no,
Just
it's a terrible thing. And a founder, James Anderson, who's a dentist, pointed this out to us. He's like, it's the worst thing in the world when that happens to a patient. And you know what? They sometimes will go on and they'll write a bad Google review because of that. And because it's like they were shown something and then they were, told something and then something else happened. And so there's a higher cost than you may think to
just
out.
the labor costs.
Yeah, yeah. So it's one thing if the technology could replace someone with the same level of accuracy that person was providing, but it's another thing if it doesn't. And it automates a lot of things. But if the accuracy isn't there, and then you end up getting burned because your insurance verification was wrong, because you didn't get a full, complete one or the whole story, that can be very costly. And I'm a believer in disruptive technologies. That's where kind of my DNA is with my training. But one of the things about disruptive technologies is you have to understand there is a tipping point. And before you hit that point, the technology actually isn't good enough to replace a process. And in the case of insurance verification, I don't think as an industry we have arrived where there are technologies that can wholesale replace the process to the point where we're getting better accuracy than humans.
Give me an example of why you don't think it's there yet.
The technologies that are in play today will do a combination of things. They will first generally sweep the automated, again, been in place since the 80s, the dial-up days, where you do a basic eligibility check. And these checks generally do not have a full, complete set of your patient history, but they will generally say, yeah, this person, they're a subscriber here to this carrier and their plan is good and so forth. And then many of these technologies, if they're good, will take another step beyond that. They'll say, all right, that was good for a first pass, but we're missing a few gaps here. Let's go and scrape the portals that are out there and see if we can get more information.
Okay.
And depending on the insurance carrier, there may be more information and there may even be more reliable information. Some carriers have a database for that first part that is like behind by a week and is not really the best source of truth. We've run into issues with inaccuracies when it's coming straight from the carrier using that older technology. So the better insurance verification or eligibility technologies will do a second pass. They'll check with a portal scraper and see if they can get everything. But not everything's on the portals.
Got it.
And I'm not aware of technologies that are yet bundling this third thing in, or maybe a few that are attempting it. We certainly do it all the time, which is you pick up the phone and you call and you say, hey, let's get the real story about Jason's coverage. What did he have done? What's he really eligible for? We're going to do this procedure and we need to know X, Y, Z. And you get the full breakdown. Now, granted, that's not the majority of the insurance verification calls, but it does tend to be the ones that are more related to the more complex procedures, the higher dollar amounts that are going to show up in the treatment plan, the ones you don't want to get wrong. And having that phone call or the fax or that kind of human communication with the carrier becomes really important. Now, some people are starting to do robot calls, and I actually heard a joke. We were talking to a major insurance carrier. They're like, yeah, we were thinking of doing robots too. So it's kind of funny. You have robots talking to robots.
Good robots, yeah.
So it's probably is headed that way. But even beyond that,
I guess that's the piece that I hear about. I hear the piece of like AI insurance verification. It's an outbound dialing agent that has, all the insurance information, all the codes and everything injected into it. It also has access to the practice management system. So some kind of trigger goes off and the AI agent makes a call to the insurance carrier to kind of clear up all this stuff. But that's not fully automated AI. That's just like, because it's still right.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can if it works. But I'll tell you, we're working with someone who does this, a company that specializes in this, and even they have their own humans checking everything.
Yeah, so it's human in the loop. It's AI with human in the loop.
Yeah, AI with human in the loop. That's right. And I think for it to work, one way or another, you still today, 2025, you need to have the human in the loop to not be exposed to those risks that I was referring to earlier.
There's also cybersecurity issues. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
you're
mean,
an ethical hacker. Like, you've got an AI agent making a phone call and having a conversation about patient. It's got EPHI in it, right?
DHR in it. Yeah.
With
Well, that's true.
another agent. And I don't know where the firewalls are behind that, but the information has to be encrypted in transit. Like, I don't even know how that would work, but there's a problem there, is there not?
Yeah, I think to me, where my mind goes, where the exposure is there a big pileup of data that otherwise wouldn't have existed with one person making one phone call to a carrier, getting that information, and putting it back in one dental office's practice management system versus an AI service provider that has an AI voice collecting all the information from multiple calls, multiple carriers, and providing services. Are they storing
Yeah,
those,
where is the data being stored?
yeah, of thousands of calls with all this PHI in it? Because that then becomes like I was saying earlier, actually I don't think I mentioned this, but they told me also on day one of my hacking training, they said the way to not get hacked is to not be a target. And
Mm-hmm.
the minute you start stockpiling a whole ton of data,
Oh, you become
right,
a target. You become
right.
a target for hackers. Yeah, for sure.
So that's where my head goes is, are they stockpiling it? Sometimes it's a tendency, especially if you're an AI, and you're a developer, you want to have more and more data. It helps your trading and things like that. You got to remember, you're a steward over patient data. It's
Hmm.
their data. You've got to be really mindful about how you're protecting it and how much exposure you have. Are you making this just this big attractive thing for a hacker to go after? It's always best to limit the amount of data that you keep and to keep it segmented so it's not all in one place and things like that so that you're not a target. Because if you're a target, they'll find a way in.
So you guys are moving kind of in this direction, but my sense is that you're not moving fast. You're not trying to like jump too quick to like building a fully AI automated insurance verification system. Although that sounds really great, right? It sounds sexy. It's like a
Yeah.
super great headline on an advertisement, right?
Yeah. I
And
mean,
so I mean,
yeah.
long term, if we were to go 5 years out, I mean, the AIs are going to get so freaking good that they're probably going to be able to handle it. So I would imagine that you guys are kind of like, you got your ear to the ground, seeing what's possible. You're probably testing things, but you're still being cautious because you don't want to be you don't want to be too far out on the forefront that you get slapped, by a lawsuit or something like that. I mean, where are you guys in that kind of like, how fast do we move, whatever?
Yeah. I mean, we started investing in AI development 4 years ago, actually.
Hmm.
And I guess the way you're seeing a lot of activity now, it seems like every week I have a call with someone that's an AI service provider, and it's the same story. Like their spouse is a dentist, they go into the dental office, and like, oh, gee whiz, wouldn't this be so much easier if we could automate this with
Yeah.
AI? And there's a lot of companies like that. And why they come out, why they're talking to us is they realize the AI isn't good enough. They need a human in the loop, and they're wondering if we could partner. We
Got it.
could take from the other angle and say, well, we have our brand promises. We know the quality standard that the dentists expect. Now, can we use AI to help us become more efficient or even deliver more accuracy or even, bring costs down or whatever? So at least there's sort of this bar of quality that's already there. And in 5 years, if technology gets better and better, then hopefully we're able to offer our same quality, but at a lower price. And that's kind of been our approach is, keep the quality fixed and high, and then see if we can have technology help us rather than the other way around where you start with technology in hopes that the
Right.
quality is good. And if it's not, then you got to go find some people to make it better.
So what are the metrics that you're using to measure quality? Like, I mean, is this like insurance claim approval rate? Is it catching mistakes? Like, where are you maintaining your KPIs? Where are those at? And then, because that's how you're basing your judgment. You're making your task lists of initiatives based on maintaining quality, and then you backfill with technology to streamline processes and make it less expensive for you to deliver the same quality product. Am I hearing that right?
Yeah, that's right. So we've got we call them brand promises that basically say, hey, If you're talking insurance verification, it's 100% within a certain amount of time, 100% accuracy within a certain amount of time. If we're talking about on the claim side, we'll collect 100% of what you're rightfully owed. I mean, these are and of course, the way we structure this, I don't know if this is public or not, but we align our workers toward those quality standards as well. And so they want to, for their own internal quality reasons and financially, they're aligned to deliver high quality as well, because that just makes sense. That's where we want their alignment. We want them to be aligned with the providers.
So give me, like, I see a day where I go into the dental office, I sit down in the chair, I get checked. They're like, oh, you need this stuff fixed. And they push a button and they say, this is how much your insurance is going to cover. When is that going to happen?
Well,
right? I mean,
yeah,
chair side approval would be like the end game, would it not?
It would be. And I'll tell you, there are some carriers, and we've talked to some of the major carriers, and we said, we'd like to be a partner with you in making that exact vision, what you just outlined. We want to work with you to make that happen. And we haven't given up on it, but it hasn't been an easy fight.
Please tell me it's the clearinghouses of the problem.
Well, I think they're part of it because, like I said, there is a kind of a financial incentive stream that exists today.
Yeah.
And if you think
people
about
are getting paid to make the system work the way it is.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, an insurance carrier to have to develop a direct connection with a practice management software so that you have just one point to the other. Well, that's also a big undertaking for them. And then you've got to get practice management softwares on board who are already getting money from the clearinghouses in the middle. And it becomes different when you have these entities in the value chain that are aligned the way that they are. I'd love to see that day though, and we are trying to pursue a way to make that happen. That's something we care about a lot. We want it to be fast and easy. It helps our billers. We think it'll help the practice. And so
well, we make things. I mean, ultimately, you want the processes inside the office to be super simple and not take a lot of time. You're basically trying to provide a product to the dental practices that makes their job easier, so they can focus on patient care and not all the BS they've got to do to, paper pushing and sitting on phone calls and, all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's where it's going to get to. Eventually, it's going to get there, right?
I sure hope so. Yeah, it seems like we're kind of stuck back in the 90s or something, right?
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier, like robots talking to robots, like your AI agent makes a call, or the dental practice has an agent, or maybe you guys build an agent that makes an outbound call on behalf of a client and it talks to the agent on the carrier side, right?
Yeah.
These two little AIs communicating with each other, this would be something that would probably be considered agentic AI, where there's two AIs that are fixing a problem without any human kind of intervention needed, right?
Yep.
Realistically, how far out do you think we are from something like that?
Well, you've seen, I think most of us probably listening to this podcast have experimented with tools like ChatGPT, and those are LLMs or large language models. And unlike some of the AI that's been in place for years, even decades, that is very specialized, it allows for a more general use. And so you can ask ChatGPT anything, for example, or the example you're giving with two phone conversations happening. You can apply one of these models that then has the ability to on the fly adjust what's being said and what needs to be asked in order to accomplish a certain goal. And so you can give, rather than saying you need to have the following script that you read off, you could say, well, we need you to get all information necessary for us to generate a treatment plan for Jason. And, you can give it a more broad directive. The problem is that as many of us have used large language models that allow for that generalizability, it also allows for things called hallucinations, where you have these inaccuracies that come in because they weren't specifically trained on what they needed to do in every single instance. That what we're seeing now with the large language models, that people are worried that we've hit, kind of a quality diminishing returns on, is that the longer you use a large language model in a particular context, that the hallucinations seem to go up. And that's a problem if you're having a longer and longer phone call, for example. Do I expect the technology to improve, notwithstanding those diminishing returns? Yeah, I do. I think that we'll find ways around those issues and eventually solve it. And will that be what replaces the need for an API direct connection, as you just have robots talking to robots? Maybe.
Yeah.
What's the timeline for that? Is it over the next 5 years? Yeah, maybe. I think there's a possibility. I think there's also a possibility for agentic AI to make waves in the claim submission process as well. And tools like ChatGPT will probably be able to move the mouse around the desktop and interact with the systems, and your interface becomes ChatGPT rather than the software you're used to. And software nowadays can even be built by tools like ChatGPT. And so in a sense, the way that we think about software and SaaS may be even melting away a bit in terms of its relevance. And we may be interacting more and more with these general tools over time.
So I believe your product's called Practice Booster. Is that the insurance verification product?
We have Practice Booster is it's a subsidiary company that we have. They sell a book called Coding with Confidence. And we have taken that and all those materials, which are designed for practices to be able to know, how do we put the right codes in here so that the insurance payer will pay us what we're owed.
Right. Okay.
And we plug that into our internal software, which is our Copilot engine that our workers use. And so when they're trying to write an appeal letter or help craft a narrative, it will draw upon that. It will draw upon sort of the large language and the ADA and everything that's out there to craft the optimal letters and narratives and things like that.
Okay, so this is in the submission claim process.
Yeah.
How thick is that insurance book? That it's like 1,000 pages or something.
It's a real thick one. Yeah.
It's like bigger than the Bible. It's like got all the books.
Yeah,
right?
And there's like hundreds of code changes every year. We've got some guys on the team that go to conferences that talk about the changes in the dental codes.
And they can't even get the book to keep up with the, So you've basically taken all that information and some prompting, and you've built a system or a software, an AI software that supports your team basically cleaning up the claim process when it's submitted.
Yep, that's right. Yep.
Okay. So what's the uptake? What's the level up that you've seen in terms of claims being accepted using the Copilot product?
Well, a couple things. So first off, we've noticed that as our workers have used Copilot, practices that have that Copilot deep integration in our worker combined allow for the claims to be paid 40% faster than if they didn't have that. And so we're really proud of that. Yeah, that's awesome, because if the dentists are getting their money in sooner, that means more working capital for them to, hit payroll and other things.
Right.
And so we're really proud of that. Another thing that I just heard about a couple of days ago, I was talking with our founder. He said that he's been talking to several of our workers. How are they using this tool that we developed? And a new use case came up that we actually hadn't anticipated. And it was, hey, I'm getting these claims that were denied due to timely filing now paid even past the date because of what is being generated for me to write in the letter to the carriers. And
so it's crafting actually the submission letter.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. She's like, ever since I've been here for years, I've never seen that happen. And now this tool is helping me do it. And so they're kind of becoming new use cases every day that we had planned for. That's the beauty of, you have a large language model in there. You don't have to prescribe everything.
So in your Copilot, the product, the part of the product that's actually, it's the Copilot, or I guess I'm going to understand the difference in Copilot and Practice Booster, but they're kind of the same thing, is it?
Yeah, it's an internal software. I mean, basically we just kind of we say, hey, we're going to take care of your billing issues for you. That's what we do. And then behind the scenes, we're using this Copilot to make sure we're able to get it in the door faster.
So you got your team leveraging your Copilot product that develops the insurance claim information that gets sent.
Yeah.
Is there a feedback loop into that model, that AI model that helps it to craft messages the next message better based on past claims that have been accepted? So
Yeah,
is there some kind of like a learning module in it?
we do. We're gathering, in fact, every claim that comes into the Copilot system based on previous data that we have has a claim predictability, a payment predictability score.
Oh, that's freaking
Um,
sweet. That's
yeah,
awesome.
so we know, okay, this one's got a 99% chance of sailing through as is. These ones don't. And in terms of, we definitely have a human in the loop when it comes to generating suggestions on claims as well to get them paid, to make sure that we're not going off the rails there. Like that's a big deal. We don't, last thing we want to do is over rely on some
On
large
AI.
language model
Yeah.
to then misdirect like thousands of claims one day. And so we're really careful about that again, because quality is super important.
So
Definitely feedback.
that's exactly, I mean, the hot kind of hyped message right now in today's world is like AI is going to do everything, right?
Yeah.
But when I've dug into, I don't know, hundreds of different tools, it could be graphic design tools, it could be copywriting tools, whatever it might be, because I'm deep into the digital marketing space, looking for ways in which to streamline processes and produce a better product at a cheaper cost so that we are more competitive, right? I have found that almost all of these massive claims of like AI can just do everything is a degraded product unless there's a human in the loop. So the way in which you guys are doing this, you've developed this and you're leveraging AI to speed up processes, improve claim acceptance, speed at which you're paid, but you've got a person there that can guide it, right? Is the exact same thing that we're doing in my company. Like AI is not doing everything. It's doing pieces of
Yeah.
the work that need to be done, but there's always a human basically who can look at it from a bird's eye view and make sure that the processes are functioning properly. And that's been huge for us, massive.
Yeah, I think
So
embracing that realization is the right thing to do now. That's really kind of the state of where AI is beyond the hype is, yeah, it can help, but you need to have a human in the loop
yeah,
doing things for sure.
I think it'll get there someday, but
Yeah.
really, and I'll say one last thing before we end, because of this, there's this fear in just generally across all consumers and humans and workers and whatnot that AI is going to replace them. And what AI is going to do is it's going to replace the work that is just repetitive.
Yeah.
And people are afraid that they're going to lose their jobs. But the reality of it is that for a long time, for the next several years, who knows how long, what's going to have to happen is your employees are going to need to leverage AI and understand it well enough and to understand how to develop the systems, come up with new ideas they're basically upscaling their own skill set. And if
Yeah.
somebody's unwilling to do that, then yeah, they would be replaced. But if somebody's willing in whatever job description they've got, like the person that you just talked about who found a new use case that
Yeah.
claims you're being paid even after the time limit, kind of thing, right?
That's right.
Like having your team be at least understand enough about what's going on and the capabilities of AI to then look for opportunities to improve your company is a big freaking deal. It's like if somebody comes to me on my company and they say, I found a problem.
Yeah.
What do I do? I'm like, you know, but if somebody comes to me and I say, I found a problem and here's a solution and this is a way to solve it, or hey, I think we could streamline this by doing this, all of a sudden I'm like, let's pay this person more money. You know what I mean? Let's keep them around.
Yeah.
So,
I 100% agree with you, because if you were to just say, e-assist, your job is to submit claims, then someone as a worker might
yeah, and they'll
identify
get
with that and say,
replaced.
yeah, we're going to get replaced eventually. But if, and I'm, our slogan is deliver peace of mind to dentists. If that becomes the company's job, and that's what we believe it is, and the worker feels like that's the problem they're trying to solve, then you can still embrace technology to help submit claims and find another way to deliver
Yeah,
peace of mind. So the type of work you're doing changes, but you're still trying to accomplish the same mission.
yeah. Awesome. Jason, thank you for coming on. I'll put all of your links to Practice Booster and your company and how to contact you guys in the show notes. If anybody's interested in you know, Any of the stats that Jason mentioned in terms of insurance claim verification, I've known many workers at eAssist for years. They're a great company, and I check them out for sure. We'll put all the information in the show notes. And any last words before we end the show, Jason?
No, I really appreciate you having me, Adrian. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. When you get that agentic AI going, or, you've got a robot that's like doing all this stuff, call me. We'll do another episode, man. Okay.
Hey, sounds like fun. Yeah. Thanks
Okay.
again.
All right, man. Take care.
Thanks.
See
Bye-bye.
ya.
Thanks for listening to Bite Size Podcast. Tune in to stay up to date with everything dental AI and tech